Evelyn Blackwood, and tonight we journey together into the quiet, shadowed streets of Eldon Hollow, where history sleeps beneath cobblestones and autumn leaves drift like whispered memories. Take a slow, deep breath with me, inhaling gently, letting the air fill your chest, and exhale softly, letting your body sink into the mattress beneath you. Close your eyes, feel the weight of your limbs release, the tension of the day melting into the silence around you, as if the night itself is drawing you into a safe, serene world. The town is hushed, bathed in the golden glow of lanterns, their light flickering against the damp walls of old brick buildings. The wind carries faint echoes of a parade long forgotten, the notes of a brass band lost in time, and for a heartbeat, you can almost see the figures that once marched these streets, their uniforms faded, their faces blurred by memory. Daniel walks slowly down the main avenue, his coat pulled tight against the chill, journal tucked under his arm. He had always been drawn to history, to the stories that lingered in the corners of towns and in the margins of newspapers. But tonight feels different. Tonight, the past seems to lean closer, its breath cold against his neck, its whispers threading through the air like mist curling over the cobblestones. The parade had taken place decades ago, honoring Columbus Day with fanfare and marching bands, floats adorned with painted scenes of explorers and settlers. Yet beneath the celebration, shadows had moved, secrets of families, of decisions unspoken, of voices silenced in alleys and behind shuttered windows. Daniel's steps echo softly against the street, harmonizing with the faint strains of music that rise and fall like the heartbeat of the town. He pauses beside the old bakery, long closed, its windows dusty, yet in the reflection he swears he sees a child waving from a float that no longer exists. The air grows cooler, and the leaves rustle as if stirred by unseen hands. The whispers rise, low and melodic, brushing his ears, almost coaxing him to follow. With each step he feels the layers of time peeling away, revealing fleeting glimpses of costumes, banners, and lanterns carried by figures who are no longer of this world. There is sorrow here, and nostalgia, but also a gentle, coziest warmth, the kind that tugs at memory and invites reflection. As he turns a corner, the street narrows, flanked by lampposts covered in ivy, their lights soft and golden, casting long, peaceful shadows. The music seems to swirl around him, not loud, but present, magical in its calm persistence. Somewhere behind him, a faint laugh echoes, playful, innocent, yet tinged with melancholy, the kind of sound that belongs both to the past and to dreams. Daniel lifts his journal and writes, careful to capture what he sees, understanding that this sleep story is not just for him but for anyone who listens and allows themselves to drift into the quiet magic of Eldon Hollow. Each page becomes a meditation, a reflection of the parade and its ghosts, gentle spirits who do not harm but guide, teaching lessons of remembrance, empathy, and the delicate balance between celebration and sorrow. The wind carries the faint scent of autumn apples, of damp wood, of smoke curling from distant chimneys. And Daniel feels his heart slow, his mind calm, his body weightless, floating on the coziest currents of night. The parade, though forgotten by the living, continues here in memory, in whispers, in soft musical notes that drift through the streets and into the ears of those willing to listen, turning this night into a guided sleep meditation, a relaxing story for any soul-seeking peace. And as Daniel walks further, the mist rises gently from the cobblestones, curling around the lanterns, the buildings, the trees, wrapping everything in a calming embrace. Somewhere ahead, he sees a faint glow, perhaps a float, or perhaps a trick of the light, but magical nonetheless, and with each step, he allows the tension of the day to release fully, feeling the coziest peace, the quietest calm, and the gentle promise that even ghosts have stories worth remembering. As the echoes fade, dear listener, allow yourself to drift with them, carried softly by the music and the whispers of Eldon Hollow into the most peaceful sleep. This is Evelyn Blackwood, guiding you once more through the quiet streets of Eldon Hollow, where the past breathes softly through brick walls and the crisp autumn air carries whispers that only the night can hold. Take a long, gentle breath in and out. Feel your body settle, your shoulders relax, your mind release the weight of the day as Daniel continues his walk through the avenues where the forgotten parade once marched. Each step he takes brings him closer to the heart of the town, where echoes of drums and brass instruments linger faintly in the mist, almost as if the air itself remembers the rhythm of celebration. Lanterns sway lightly in the trees, lining the main square, their warm glow painting long shadows that curl like fingers across the cobblestones. Daniel passes the old firehouse, its doors warped with age. Yet, behind the cracked windows, he sees a faint flicker, perhaps a ghostly reflection of floats adorned with banners, their colors muted but glowing softly with the persistence of memory. The smell of fallen leaves and wet earth mixes with the faint, sweet aroma of candy apples, a lingering scent from celebrations decades past, and he inhales deeply, feeling both nostalgia and unease. He reaches a narrow alley where the echo of music is strongest, and the figures appear, translucent silhouettes of parade marchers, children holding tiny lanterns, women in period dresses, men with folded flags, all frozen in their eternal procession. They do not speak, yet their presence is welcoming. Their faces soft and peaceful, radiating a coziest warmth that contrasts the subtle chill of the night. Daniel walks among them carefully, noting the intricate details, the brass instruments catching faint light, the hems of skirts brushing imaginary cobblestones, the glimmer of ribbons worn in hats long forgotten. The parade is moving silently, in perfect rhythm, and he realizes that this is not a haunting of fear, but a memory preserved in the stillness of Eldon Hollow. Somewhere above, the wind rustles through the autumn leaves, carrying whispers of laughter and faint conversation, blending with the distant toll of a bell from the old church at the square's center. He pauses and places a hand gently on the shoulder of a young boy holding a lantern, and though his fingers pass through nothing but light, a sense of connection warms him, a reminder that history is not only about dates and facts, but about the lives and stories that shaped a town. As Daniel continues, he notices small details that bring the past into the present: confetti caught in gutters, discarded ribbons, tiny coins long left behind by all glowing faintly in the lamplight. The music grows richer, the melody threading through the streets like a delicate current, guiding him toward the park where the parade once concluded. There, the floats are half collapsed, vines and ivy curling around their wooden frames. Yet from within them glows a faint, magical light, coziest and peaceful, almost like embers from a fire that has never fully died. The spirits drift around the floats, sometimes pausing to smile at him, sometimes fading like mist before his eyes, and Daniel feels the calming, meditative effect of their presence. He opens his journal, writing down the details, not to record facts alone, but to capture the emotional resonance of the scene, the mixture of melancholy, wonder, and tranquility that makes this sleep story and guided sleep meditation so magical. The night deepens, the town wrapped in mist and gentle lamplight, and he senses that, even as the parade has been forgotten by the living, the spirits have not been forgotten by memory itself. Every shadow, every flicker of light, every whisper of music contributes to a calming rhythm, turning fear into reflection, tension into peace, history into a gentle story to drift upon. Daniel closes his eyes briefly, listening to the soft rustle of leaves, the faint echo of drums, the serene whispers of children, and feels a deep sense of connection, a peaceful acknowledgement of lives that once were, of celebration and sorrow intertwined. And as he walks slowly back toward the street leading to his lodging, the lanterns cast golden pools of light on the wet cobblestones, the silhouettes of spirits fading yet leaving a lingering warmth, a magical sense of calm that settles in the chest, soothing the mind, inviting any listener to relax fully, allowing the story, the whispers, and the echoes of the forgotten parade to carry them gently toward sleep. As the melody of invisible instruments fades softly into the mist, dear listener, allow yourself to rest, to float alongside Daniel, to drift into the coziest, most peaceful state, and to embrace the calm magic of Eldon Hollow. This is Evelyn Blackwood, inviting you to sink even deeper into the quiet embrace of Eldon Hollow, to wander alongside Daniel as he follows the traces of a parade that has been forgotten by time, but remembered by the shadows that linger in the streets. Take a long, gentle breath. Feel the air filling your lungs and slowly releasing, your body settling, your mind quieting as the night envelops you in its calming magic. Daniel's footsteps echo softly against the cobblestones, mingling with distant whispers of music and laughter that have not been heard for decades. The parade, though absent in the waking world, thrives here in memory, in the subtle undulations of the town's atmosphere, each lantern casting light upon secrets long buried. As he approaches the central square, his eyes catch movement along the edges of the building's faint silhouettes, bending over forgotten ledgers, hands brushing against tattered banners, faces turned toward windows that no longer exist. These are not malicious spirits, but witnesses, guardians of stories that the town has neglected. Daniel pauses, breathing in the damp autumn air. It sent a mixture of earth, decaying leaves, and a faint trace of candle wax that lingers from altars placed for parades long past. He notices a pattern in the shadow, a rhythm that mirrors the cadence of the music still playing softly in the background, a melody that threads itself through time, connecting past and present. He follows it to a narrow alleyway where the bricks are scarred with age, graffiti and carvings from children who grew up during an era of celebration now lost. Here, the spirits gather in clusters, exchanging gestures and expressions too subtle to interpret fully, yet unmistakably human in their sorrow and their joy. Daniel feels a shiver run through him, not from fear, but from recognition, understanding that history is alive in the smallest gestures, the quietest moments, the faintest echoes of music and laughter. He kneels beside a small, cracked fountain in the alley, its water frozen from the chill of the night, and sees reflections of figures he does not recall having seen before: a woman with a tambourine, a child with a hat too large for his head, an elderly man holding a folded flag. They move as though in rehearsal, yet their movements are both deliberate and fluid, untethered from time. A spectral choreography that balances nostalgia and melancholy. Daniel writes in his journal, documenting not only their forms, but the sensations they evoke. The coziest warmth of shared memory, the peaceful tension of unresolved stories, the magical calm that arises from bearing witness to lives once lived and forgotten as he continues to follow them. The alley opens onto a courtyard where the town's social leaders once gathered to observe the parade, their presence now reduced to whispers and the faint shimmer of robes and hats. Long decay, Daniel realizes that the parade had never been merely a spectacle. It had been a reflection of the town's hierarchy, its secrets, and the choices made in the shadows. Decisions that shaped generations, yet were seldom spoken of aloud. The spirits move through the courtyard with grace and solemnity, carrying with them fragments of scandal, triumph, regret, and pride. The full spectrum of human experience condensed into ethereal forms. And as Daniel observes, he notices how some figures linger longer, their expressions weighted with remorse, while others float with delight, caught in the magical pleasure of remembrance. The gentle wind carries the faint strains of music toward him, coiling around the corner of his jacket, brushing his cheeks like a delicate caress. The lanterns glow brighter in response, highlighting carvings in the walls and details in the architecture that he had overlooked: hidden doors, inscriptions in stone, remnants of forgotten ceremonies that tell of a community grappling with both celebration and shame. He senses the rhythmic pulse of the parade in the air, a heartbeat of memory that sustains the spirit's presence and calms his own. His journal pages flutter in the breeze, and he writes faster, capturing each detail, each emotional resonance, knowing that these observations will become part of the sleep story, a relaxing story that will carry listeners into the coziest, most peaceful state of mind. For a moment, Daniel allows himself to close his eyes, imagining the town as it once was, children laughing along the streets, musicians playing with pride, families waving from balconies, all intertwined with the spectral figures that now occupy the space. The boundaries between past and present blur, creating a magical, calming atmosphere, perfect for drifting into the gentlest kind of sleep. As he rises and continues down the street, he passes beneath an archway decorated with faded banners. The music softens, the whispers fade, and yet a warmth lingers in the air, a subtle promise that the stories of the forgotten parade will continue to guide anyone who listens closely enough, anyone who allows themselves to enter the town's quiet magic. And as the wind carries a final note of music through the streets, Daniel feels the coziest peace, a serene connection to the town, to its ghosts, and to the invisible threads that tie memory, history, and emotion together. As the story fades, dear listener, let yourself drift alongside him. Let the echoes of the parade wrap around you like a gentle embrace, and allow your mind to settle into the most peaceful, calming sleep, where history, mystery, and magic meet in the softest corners of your imagination. Asterisk. This is Evelyn Blackwood, guiding you once again through Eldon Hollow, where the night cradles history in its quiet arms and the forgotten parade leaves trails of both joy and sorrow lingering in the air. Take a slow, deep breath. Let it settle in your chest. And exhale, releasing tension, letting the world outside fall away as you step gently into this story with Daniel. The streets are draped in soft mist, curling around lanterns and old brick feet, and the faint strains of music from the parade long past drift across the cobblestones, soft and almost imperceptible, carrying a hint of sadness beneath its cheerful rhythm. Daniel walks cautiously toward the old courthouse, its tall windows staring down like watchful eyes, and notices the faint shimmer of movement behind the glass. There, he sees figures that seem to waver between memory and reality. A young woman in a dress of muted blues, clutching a bundle of letters. A man in a worn suit, gazing down at a small child holding a folded flag. Their expressions are calm yet heavy, weighted with emotions unspoken, stories untold, consequences long endured. He follows the trail of light into a narrow side street, where the music intensifies, not loud, but intimate enough that it seems to whisper directly to his mind. Each step reveals more of the parade's secret history, merchants and families whose decisions had shaped the town in quiet, unseen ways, whose triumphs and failures left echoes that were never written in textbooks but lingered in these streets like ghosts. Daniel kneels beside a broken fountain where water once danced freely, now frozen in stillness, and he sees the reflection of a small girl waving from a float that no longer exists. The glow of her lantern casts long shadows, revealing the texture of the town's history, the cracks in walls, the faded paint, the inscriptions carved into stone that tell of loss, hope, and betrayal. As he continues, Daniel notices how some spirits linger in places of tragedy, their faces lined with sorrow and longing. A parade marshal stands silently, pointing to banners that should have celebrated victories, but instead mark decisions that led to misunderstanding, division, and quiet heartbreak. Daniel senses that the ghosts are not angry but longing for acknowledgement, for their stories to be remembered with compassion, for the injustices and oversights of the past to be gently understood rather than condemned. He writes feverishly in his journal, noting the subtle ways the spirits move, the patterns of their interaction, the faint glimmers of emotion that radiate like light through the mist. The air carries the scent of old parchment, damp earth, and autumn leaves, mingled with a faint whiff of burning candle wax from shrines placed long ago to honor those who had been lost, both literally and figuratively, in the chaos of celebration and remembrance. In the town square, Daniel witnesses the subtle choreography of the forgotten parade. Children float past him, laughing softly, their laughter echoing like the chime of delicate bells, while adults follow with solemn grace, their expressions reflecting pride tinged with regret. The music continues to guide him, a magical thread weaving together past and present, sorrow and joy, history and reflection. He realizes that the parade was never only a festivity. It was a mirror, showing both the best and the most hidden parts of Eldon Hollow. He feels the coziest warmth in recognizing the spirit's desire to be remembered, their peaceful presence, and the gentle, magical way they invite understanding and calm rather than fear. The wind swirls, carrying whispers of conversations lost to time, and Daniel feels his heartbeat slow, his thoughts quiet, as if the town itself is soothing him, preparing both him and the listener to reflect upon the lessons embedded in memory and history. Lantern light dances on the edges of buildings, highlighting carvings and inscriptions, as the spirits guide him along familiar streets, turned ethereal under the moonlight. Each note of distant music, each ripple of mist, each soft glow becomes a part of the guided sleep meditation, a relaxing story designed to calm the mind and open the heart. Daniel pauses beneath an old archway, watching as the ghosts of past parade participants gather, sharing moments of quiet connection, understanding, and forgiveness. Their movements are fluid yet deliberate, a reminder that history, though fixed in books and plaques, lives on in memory and spirit, in emotions carried through generations. The night deepens, the mist thickens, yet the town feels safe, magical, and peaceful, coziest in its embrace, allowing Daniel, and by extension the listener, to sink fully into the calm of the story. As the music fades, the lanterns dim, and the whispers soften, Daniel feels a profound sense of connection to the past, to Eldon Hollow, and to the invisible threads that link memory, history, and compassion. And now, dear listener, allow yourself to drift alongside him, floating gently with the spirits of the forgotten parade, letting every echo, every shimmer of light, every whisper of music guide you into the most peaceful, calming sleep, where magic, history, and emotion intertwine to soothe your mind and heart. Asterisk. This is Evelyn Blackwood, welcoming you once again into the quiet streets of Eldon Hollow, where the night hums softly with the remnants of history and memory, and where the forgotten parade drifts endlessly in the minds of those who once celebrated and those who now linger as gentle spirits. Take a deep, mindful breath in and out. Feel your body relax, your shoulders releasing, your chest softening as the world outside your room dissolves into calm. Daniel moves carefully along the edge of the town square, lanterns casting warm golden pools of light that illuminate the damp cobblestones beneath his feet. The air carries a faint hint of smoke and cinnamon, mingled with the earthy scent of autumn leaves, as if the town itself is breathing, exhaling memories into the night. The spirits of the parade are all around him, translucent figures moving with quiet purpose, their faces soft with expressions of longing, joy, and quiet sorrow. Children skip lightly beside him, their laughter faint, echoing through the mist, while men and women glide past in faded uniforms and period attire, their steps in rhythm with music only they can hear. Daniel notices that some spirits seem trapped in small loops, repeating gestures and motions as though holding on to moments they never finished, decisions never made, or apologies never spoken. The alleyways and side streets are alive with these echoes, delicate and magical, yet carrying an undertone of melancholy that tugs at his heart. He pauses beneath an arch of ivy, watching as a young boy reaches for a banner that drifts just out of his grasp, the fabric shimmering like spun glass. Daniel senses the weight of the parade's forgotten stories, families torn apart by disputes, citizens overlooked by those in power, the consequences of pride, ambition, and neglect etched into the subtle expressions of the ghosts he observes. Each note of music that rises and falls in the night seems to vibrate with these hidden narratives, weaving together sorrow and celebration, loss and remembrance, the magical and the mundane. He steps into the town's old park, where the floats were once displayed with grandeur, now faded and overgrown with ivy, their wooden frames creaking softly in the cool breeze. Spirits drift among them, some pausing to touch a banner, others to trace their fingers along a carved inscription, all movements gentle, deliberate, weighted with memory. Daniel opens his journal, writing not only of what he sees, but of the emotions that fill the air, the coziest warmth of innocent laughter mingled with the bittersweet sorrow of mistakes long past, the peaceful calm of spirits who simply wish to be remembered, and the magical, soothing rhythm of a parade that exists outside time, only visible to those who listen closely enough. As he continues walking, he encounters a group of spirits gathered around a fountain that once marked the center of celebration. They move with slow grace, circling and swaying as if in silent song, their reflections glimmering in the still water. Daniel feels a connection to them, a deep, calming understanding that this parade, forgotten by the living, is alive in memory and in spirit. The lanterns sway, casting elongated shadows that twist and stretch across the cobblestones, painting the town with a calm yet haunting light, magical and peaceful, coziest in its gentle embrace. He notices a faint silhouette of an elderly man, a marshal from the original parade, bowing his head toward a group of children spirits, an unspoken apology or blessing passing through the night air. Daniel feels his own heartbeat slow, the tension in his chest easing, as if the town itself is guiding him toward a reflective serenity, reminding him, and any listener, that even in shadows and forgotten histories, there is a peaceful, calming presence. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying the soft melodies of drums and brass, fading into gentle echoes that soothe the mind. The children float by, lanterns held high, glowing softly, their faces serene, reminding Daniel of the beauty of remembrance, the quiet magic in witnessing the past without fear or judgment. He writes each sensation, each visual and emotional note, knowing that this sleep story and guided sleep meditation is weaving together calm, reflective, magical layers, perfect for easing the listener into coziest relaxation and the most peaceful sleep. And as Daniel finally walks toward the edge of the square, The spirits begin to fade gradually into the mist. The lanterns dim, the music softening to a whisper, yet leaving behind a warmth in the heart, a gentle promise that these echoes of the forgotten parade will remain in memory and in spirit, offering comfort and reflection to anyone willing to listen. As the story drifts, dear listener, allow yourself to float alongside Daniel among the coziest, most peaceful echoes, letting the whispers, the laughter, the soft glow of lanterns guide you gently into calming, magical sleep, where history, memory, and wonder intertwine to soothe your mind and heart. Asterisk, this is Evelyn Blackwood, inviting you once again to wander slowly through Eldon Hollow, where the whispers of the forgotten parade linger softly among the lantern-lit streets, and the cool autumn breeze carries echoes of history, memory, and gentle spirits who have long remained unseen by the living. Take a deep, calming breath in and out. Feel your body settle fully, your muscles softening, your mind untangling itself from the worries of the day. As you follow Daniel along the quiet avenues, the parade, though long forgotten, continues in spectral rhythm. And as Daniel moves through the town square one last time this evening, he notices a subtle change in the spirits around him. They seem to acknowledge his presence, as if aware that someone living is finally seeing and honoring their existence. Children skip lightly past, lanterns glowing faintly, laughter floating like delicate chimes through the mist, while adults follow with solemn grace, their expressions serene yet weighted with the remnants of unspoken stories. Daniel's footsteps echo softly, harmonizing with the fading strains of music, drums and brass mingling with the whisper of wind in the trees, leaves rustling like gentle applause for the parade that once celebrated, now remembered in quiet reflection. He approaches the old bandstand, where the main floats had been displayed decades ago, now weathered and overgrown with ivy, the wood warped by time, yet glowing faintly with the coziest light of memory and magical persistence. Spirits drift around the bandstand in silent choreography, circling and pausing, some reaching to touch banners that flutter invisibly in the night air. And Daniel feels the delicate pull of nostalgia and sorrow, balanced by the peaceful calm of being present in their midst. He kneels beside a fountain where water has long ceased to flow, its basin covered with a thin layer of frost, and watches as reflections shimmer with the images of faces he could almost recognize. A young boy waving enthusiastically, a mother clutching her child, an elderly marshal nodding quietly to those who pass. The air is filled with subtle fragrances, damp earth, autumn leaves, lingering candle smoke, a hint of apple tarts from a bakery long closed, all mingling into a magical, calming atmosphere that guides both Daniel and any listener deeper into relaxation. As he walks through the square, Daniel senses that each spirit carries a story of triumph and error, joy and regret, of choices made and lessons unlearned, yet none seek harm. They are gentle reminders of the layers of human experience, visible only in the soft glow of memory and imagination, coexisting with the present. In quiet harmony, lanterns swing slightly in the wind, casting elongated, peaceful shadows that stretch across cobblestones, highlighting carvings and inscriptions that tell of a town grappling with history, memory, and morality. Daniel writes in his journal, recording not only what he sees, but what he feels. The coziest sense of connection, the calming recognition of humanity in all its complexity, and the magical, soothing rhythm that allows a sleep story and guided sleep meditation to carry both mind and heart into restful tranquility. As he turns to leave the square, the music softens further, the mist thickens gently, and the spirits begin to drift back toward the edges of the town, fading gracefully into the memory of the night, leaving behind a serene warmth, a peaceful reminder that forgotten histories still matter, and that every story deserves acknowledgement. The wind whispers through the trees once more, brushing Daniel's face with the soft touch of the unseen, and he feels his heart slow, his mind calm, his entire body relaxed in the coziest embrace of Eldon Hollow. And now, dear listener, as we gently conclude this chapter, I invite you to breathe in the calm, exhale the day, and reflect on the delicate beauty of memories, both human and spectral, carried through time by those who once lived and those who linger still. If you have enjoyed this journey into the forgotten parade, please consider supporting our Midnight Murmurs radio channel. Your subscription, likes, and shares help keep these magical, relaxing stories alive for all who seek peaceful sleep. Let the lantern's glow linger in your imagination. Let the soft echoes of music carry you gently, and as the story fades, allow yourself to drift fully into the most calming, coziest, and magical sleep, guided by the whispers of Eldon Hollow, the spirits of the parade, and the quiet lessons of history and compassion. Asterisk. This is Evelyn Blackwood, welcoming you back to the quiet, mist-laden streets of Eldon Hollow, where time seems to fold upon itself and the echoes of the forgotten parade linger like haunting music woven into the autumn air. Take a slow, deep breath, in and out. Feel your body release tension, your mind becoming calm and receptive, your senses attuned to the delicate rhythm of this magical, coziest, and calming night. Daniel steps once more into the central square, his journal tucked securely under his arm, eyes scanning the shadows for traces of the spirits who had guided him through the parade the night before. The lanterns glow faintly, illuminating cobblestones slick with evening dew, their golden light stretching across the town like a warm, gentle hand brushing over history itself. Tonight, the air feels heavier, layered with whispers and sighs, as though Eldon Hollow itself is preparing to reveal stories that have lain dormant for decades. The parade that was once a simple celebration now unfolds in Daniel's imagination, with a richness that feels almost tangible. Floats rise like specters from the mist. Children with lanterns flicker in and out of vision, and musicians drift past, their instruments producing melodies that seem to thread together past and present, sorrow and joy, reality and memory. Daniel feels the subtle pull of something deeper tonight, a hidden narrative lying just beneath the surface, intertwined with the town's traditions, its overlooked tragedies, and the unspoken tensions that have simmered quietly for generations. He walks toward the old courthouse, whose tall, imposing windows seem to watch him, revealing faint silhouettes of figures moving slowly inside, engaged in tasks that no longer exist in the living world. There is a rhythm to their actions, deliberate yet ghostly. Each gesture echoing a choice made long ago, a lesson unlearned, a sorrow unspoken. The wind brushes against his face, carrying the scent of damp earth, fallen leaves, and a faint trace of burning candle wax from altars placed for remembrance, mingling into a magical, calming aroma that soothes his chest and slows his heartbeat. As he passes the old theater at the edge of the square, he sees shadows of families who once lined the streets to watch the parade, their expressions frozen in the joyful anticipation of celebration, yet tinged with the subtle anxiety of social dynamics, hidden rivalries, and unspoken hierarchies that shaped their lives. Daniel senses that the spirits are drawn to these places because unresolved emotion, unacknowledged grief, and secret regrets cling to the walls, the cobblestones, and even the leaves that drift lazily through the square. He pauses beside a fountain where water no longer flows, observing a young girl offering a small ribbon to a spectral figure in a faded uniform. The gesture is silent, yet filled with meaning. A moment of reconciliation, an acknowledgement of history's complexity, a coziest and most peaceful exchange between past and present, Daniel writes carefully, capturing not only the images but the sensations, the magical hush of the night, the calming rhythm of spirits moving as though in a slow dance, the soft whispers of memory brushing against his ears. He notices how the lantern's light seems to bend around the mist, illuminating faces of individuals whose stories are intertwined with the parade. A merchant who lost his fortune, a child who never grew old enough to march, a parent who silently bore the consequences of choices made in pride or haste. The air hums softly with the sound of brass and drums, though no musicians are visible, creating a surreal, coziest, magical atmosphere that blends the ordinary with the extraordinary, the peaceful with the rapture of reflection. Daniel continues toward the edge of the square, where an alley opens into the remnants of a park, now overgrown with ivy and moss, where the largest floats were once displayed. Spirits drift among the trees and faded banners, pausing occasionally to interact with artifacts of the parade. A hat here, a flag there, all imbued with the weight of memory. He senses that these figures are not seeking to frighten, but to guide him, and by extension the listener, through the hidden truths of Eldon Hollow. Lessons of empathy, acknowledgement, and the delicate balance between joy and sorrow, celebration and remembrance. The wind swirls through the trees, carrying distant echoes of music and laughter, blending with the faint rustle of leaves to create a guided sleep meditation that is both relaxing and mesmerizing. Daniel feels the coziest calm settle over him, his mind open to reflection, his heart attuned to the quiet magic surrounding him. And now, dear listener, allow yourself to drift alongside him, through the mist, through the soft glow of lanterns, into the gentle embrace of Eldon Hollow, where history, memory, and spirit intertwine, and where the forgotten parade continues to play its magical, peaceful melody, guiding you into the most coziest, calming, and restorative sleep imaginable. Asterisk, this is Evelyn Blackwood, inviting you once more to step softly into Eldon Hollow, a town where the forgotten parade casts long, silent shadows over streets lined with history, memory, and the gentle presence of lingering spirits. Take a deep, soothing breath in and out. Feel your body sink into comfort, your mind release the noise of the day, your heart open to the subtle magic that threads through every corner of the town as Daniel continues his journey. The fog curls around lampposts and arches, thickening near the edges of the square where buildings lean slightly toward one another, creating narrow corridors of golden light that seem to hum with whispers of those long gone. Daniel walks carefully down a hidden alley, where cobblestones glisten faintly with dew, each footstep echoing softly into the mist, merging with faint laughter and the distant notes of brass instruments that no longer exist in the living world. Lanterns sway in the trees overhead, casting warm, comforting glows that reveal silhouettes of figures who had never left, children and adults alike, drifting in patterns only perceptible to those willing to pay attention, their movements almost imperceptibly guiding him forward. Here, the secrets of Eldon Hollow begin to unfold more fully. Spirits pause to gesture toward half-hidden doors, windows shuttered decades ago, and corners where old festival banners are curled and faded, each holding a fragment of a story long buried in the collective memory of the town. Daniel feels the coziest warmth in his chest as he realizes these are not malevolent apparitions, but gentle guides, inviting him and the listener to bear witness to the forgotten and the overlooked. He pauses beside a fountain draped in ivy, the water frozen in winter's embrace, reflecting the lantern glow like liquid gold, and sees a mother holding a small child, her expression soft yet tinged with regret, a silent plea for remembrance that transcends time. The alley opens into a courtyard where the largest parade floats were once displayed, now ghostly outlines in the mist, their frames warped by age, yet shimmering faintly with magical light. Daniel steps among them carefully, noting how each float seems to pulse with the memory of joy and sorrow, of pride and mistakes, creating a tapestry of human experience that is at once poignant and calming. Above him, the wind carries whispers of music and soft laughter, intertwining with the rustle of leaves and the subtle creaking of old wood, forming a natural, coziest rhythm that eases tension and guides both Daniel and any listener deeper into a peaceful state of mind. As he walks, Daniel observes small interactions between spirits. A boy offering a ribbon to a young girl, an elderly marshal bowing toward a cluster of children, all gestures imbued with meaning and reconciliation, a quiet acknowledgement of past choices, consequences, and the humanity that persists beyond time. The air is fragrant with autumn leaves, damp earth, and a faint hint of candle smoke, mingling with the subtle, sweet scent of candy and spices left from celebrations long past, a magical aroma that coaxes relaxation and reflection. Daniel writes in his journal, not merely recording what he sees, but capturing the emotions carried in the night, the peaceful weight of unspoken stories, the calming presence of spirits guiding him, and the gentle, magical rhythm that transforms a sleep story into a guided meditation for the soul. He notices the soft glow of lanterns bending around corners, illuminating inscriptions in stone, carved initials in door frames, and faded messages on walls that tell stories of ambition, regret, celebration, and quiet reconciliation. It builds to a narrative that is coziest, most magical and deeply relaxing, enveloping both mind and body in a serene cocoon. Daniel continues along the hidden path, following the subtle guidance of the parade's lingering figures, sensing that every choice, every decision, every act of remembrance carries weight not only in the town's history but in the emotions that ripple through the spectral presence surrounding him as he rounds the corner toward the edge of the park. The largest spirits gather: families, musicians, and parade organizers, moving in a gentle choreography that is both solemn and celebratory. Their expressions are peaceful, inviting Daniel and the listener to feel the soft, magical connection between past and present. And now, dear listener, allow yourself to drift alongside him through the mist, the soft glow of lanterns, the whispers of music, and the coziest, most calming energy of Eldon Hollow. Let every shadow, every shimmer, every sigh guide you gently into a restorative sleep, where history, memory, and magic intertwine to soothe your mind, heart, and imagination, and where the forgotten parade continues to play its serene, magical melody long after the night has deepened. This is Evelyn Blackwood, guiding you once more through the quiet streets of Eldon Hollow, where the mist curls around lampposts and ancient bricks, and where the echoes of the forgotten parade carry hidden stories that have long remained unseen by the living. Take a slow, deep breath in and out. Feel the tension of the day melt from your shoulders, your chest expanding and releasing, your body sinking gently into comfort, and your mind opening to the magical, coziest rhythm of the night. Daniel moves carefully through a narrow alley that leads to the town's oldest square, where faded banners hang like ghosts themselves, their edges frayed by time and neglect. The soft glow of lanterns illuminates the damp cobblestones, reflecting in puddles that ripple faintly as if whispering secrets from the past. He notices figures drifting just beyond the edges of his vision. Children with small drums, adults carrying instruments of brass and wood, and elders in period attire, all moving in deliberate, graceful patterns. Their expressions, a mixture of joy, sorrow, pride, and regret. Tonight, Daniel senses the undercurrent of a darker story, one that had remained hidden beneath layers of celebration and tradition, a story of choices made in haste, injustices overlooked, and consequences that rippled quietly through generations. He walks slowly, noting subtle changes in the atmosphere. The wind carries whispers of arguments, the faint rustle of torn banners, and the muted sighs of figures whose joy had been tempered by fear or loss. Each step brings him closer to a small, hidden courtyard, where the largest floats of the parade had once been displayed. Here, the spectral figures gather more densely, their movements deliberate, yet tinged with a tension that seems to vibrate in the air. Daniel kneels beside a stone fountain. Its water flows into delicate, crystalline patterns, and sees the reflection of a young boy reaching toward a banner that drifts just out of reach. There is a weight to the scene, a reminder that not all stories are light, not all celebrations unburdened by human complexity. As he observes, Daniel realizes that the parade was not merely a spectacle. It was a mirror reflecting the hierarchy, the ambitions, the secrets, and the quiet misdeeds of a town struggling with its identity, its pride, and its past. Lantern light bends around the edges of the courtyard, revealing faded inscriptions on walls and door frames. Messages carved by citizens of long ago, notes of triumph, petitions for justice, whispers of regret, each an echo of lives lived in the shadow of celebration and consequence. Daniel feels the coziest warmth in the recognition of these hidden histories, a magical sense of connection to those who came before. The peaceful understanding that acknowledging the past allows both spirits and the living to coexist in harmony. The children float past him again, lanterns glowing softly, while adults follow in a solemn, almost ritualistic procession. And the music of drums and brass weaves together, past and present, joy and sorrow, creating a relaxing, magical atmosphere that guides the mind toward calm. Reflection. Daniel writes quickly in his journal, recording every subtle gesture, every shadow, every whisper, knowing that these observations will become part of a bedtime story, a sleep story, and a guided sleep meditation designed to soothe the mind and heart, even as it conveys the weight of history and the hidden stories that linger in Eldon Hollow. As he continues toward the alley that leads back to the town square, Daniel encounters spirits who linger near the old bakery, their expressions both peaceful and pained, revealing the small tragedies that occurred behind closed doors during the parade, lost livelihoods, broken friendships, and quiet moments of regret. He senses that these are not threats, but gentle reminders of the consequences of actions left unexamined, of choices unspoken, of histories that demand acknowledgement. The wind carries a mixture of music, laughter, and whispered confessions, weaving a tapestry of sound that is magical, calming, and coziest. A rhythmic lull that guides both Daniel and any listener deeper into serenity. Lanterns swayed gently, casting elongated shadows over cobblestones, walls, and ivy, while spectral figures paused to touch banners, trace carvings, and exchange gestures filled with meaning. Daniel feels the peaceful, coziest connection between past and present, the magic of witnessing unspoken truths, the calming recognition that these echoes of the parade serve both as reflection and as meditation. And now, dear listener, allow yourself to float gently alongside him, absorbing every whisper, every shimmer of light, every echo of music and emotion, and let it guide you into the most magical, coziest, and deeply relaxing sleep, where history, memory, and the unseen coexist in perfect harmony. Asterisk. This is Evelyn Blackwood, inviting you once more to step quietly into where the forgotten parade lingers in the mist, where lanterns glow like tiny beacons of memory, and where every shadow whispers a story, some joyful, some sorrowful, and some heavy with unspoken regret. Take a deep, calming breath in and out. Allow your body to release tension, your mind to soften, and your imagination to drift gently into the magical, coziest, and peaceful rhythm of the town's nocturnal heartbeat. Daniel moves along the narrow path that leads to the edge of the central square, noticing how the fog curls around lanterns, old lampposts, and the edges of buildings, revealing hints of faded signs, cobblestones, damp from the evening air, and subtle carvings in wood and stone that hint at long-forgotten celebrations and misdeeds alike. Ahead of him, he sees remnants of floats once used in the Columbus Day parade, half buried under ivy and moss, wooden frames warped but still faintly glowing with the energy of memory, casting shadows that dance gently on the surrounding walls. Spirits linger among these relics. Children holding lanterns, merchants and parade organizers frozen in ethereal gestures, and older figures moving slowly, faces lined with both peace and sorrow, as if the weight of their choices and regrets is held lightly in the air around them. Daniel steps carefully toward an abandoned float, noticing the details of its faded banners, each one telling stories of triumph, rivalry, and loss, revealing secrets of families torn apart, friendships strained, and decisions that shaped Eldon Hollow in subtle, unseen ways. He kneels beside a small, weathered bench where a family once watched the parade, seeing faint silhouettes of parents and children frozen in gestures of joy and anxiety, their faces reflecting moments of pride and quiet shame. The lanterns flicker in response to the spirit's movements, casting warm, calming glows that highlight inscriptions carved into the cobblestones, notes of apology, love, and unspoken truth. Daniel feels a coziest warmth in recognizing that these spirits are not here to frighten him but to invite reflection, to allow both the living and those lingering between worlds to acknowledge past mistakes, unresolved grief, and the subtle consequences of human action. The wind carries soft echoes of drums, brass, and whispered laughter, blending with the subtle creak of wooden floats and the faint rustle of autumn leaves, creating a magical, calming symphony that seems to guide Daniel, and by extension the listener, deeper into meditation and gentle reflection. He observes a young boy's spirit tugging gently at a ribbon that once adorned a float, his movements deliberate yet sorrowful, a symbol of connection to a past that was never fully reconciled, and a quiet reminder of the stories that remain unfinished in Eldon Hollow. Nearby, an older spirit approaches, eyes filled with the weight of choices and regrets, nodding toward Daniel as if acknowledging his presence and the recognition he brings to these unseen histories. Daniel writes fervently in his journal, capturing not only the images but the emotions, the peaceful yet somber energy of spirits seeking remembrance, the magical aura surrounding relics of celebration, and the coziest sense of connection between past, present, and the enduring lessons hidden within history. The alleyway opens to a small courtyard where the largest floats are gathered, their wooden structures warped by time, their decorations faded yet alive in spectral light, shimmering with energy from countless memories, both joyous and tragic, and deeply relaxing, enveloping both mind and body in a serene cocoon. Daniel continues along the hidden path, following the subtle guidance of the parade's lingering figures, sensing that every choice, every decision, every act of remembrance carries weight not only in the town's history but in the emotions that ripple through the spectral presence surrounding him as he rounds the corner toward the edge of the park. The largest spirits gather, families, musicians, and parade organizers, moving in a gentle choreography that is both solemn and celebratory. Their expressions are peaceful, inviting Daniel and the listener to feel the soft, magical connection between past and present. And now, dear listener, allow yourself to drift alongside him through the mist, the soft glow of lanterns, the whispers of music, and the coziest, most calming energy of Eldon Hollow. Let every shadow, every shimmer, every sigh guide you gently into a restorative sleep, where history, memory, and magic intertwine to soothe your mind, heart, and imagination, and where the forgotten parade continues to play its serene, magical melody long after the night has deepened. Asterisk. This is Evelyn Blackwood, guiding you once more through the quiet streets of Eldon Hollow, where the mist curls around lampposts and ancient bricks, and where the echoes of the forgotten parade carry hidden stories that have long remained unseen by the living. Take a slow, deep breath in and out. Feel the tension of the day melt from your shoulders, your chest expanding and releasing, your body sinking gently into comfort, and your mind opening to the magical, coziest rhythm of the night. Daniel moves carefully through a narrow alley that leads to the town's oldest square, where faded banners hang like ghosts themselves, their edges frayed by time and neglect. The soft glow of lanterns illuminates the damp cobblestones, reflecting in puddles that ripple faintly as if whispering secrets from the past. He notices figures drifting just beyond the edges of his vision. Children with small drums, adults carrying instruments of brass and wood, and elders in period attire, all moving in deliberate, graceful patterns. Their expressions, a mixture of joy, sorrow, pride, and regret. Tonight, Daniel senses the undercurrent of a darker story, one that had remained hidden beneath layers of celebration and tradition, a story of choices made in haste, injustices overlooked, and consequences that rippled quietly through generations. He walks slowly, noting subtle changes in the atmosphere. The wind carries whispers of arguments, the faint rustle of torn banners, and the muted sighs of figures whose joy had been tempered by fear or loss. Each step brings him closer to a small, hidden courtyard, where the largest floats of the parade had once been displayed. Here, the spectral figures gather more densely, their movements deliberate, yet tinged with a tension that seems to vibrate in the air. Daniel kneels beside a stone fountain, its water froze into delicate, crystalline patterns, and sees the reflection of a young boy reaching toward a banner that drifts just out of reach. There is a weight to the scene, a reminder that not all stories are light, not all celebrations unburdened by human complexity. As he observes, Daniel realizes that the parade was not merely a spectacle. It was a mirror reflecting the hierarchy, the ambitions, the secrets, and the quiet misdeeds of a town struggling with its identity, its pride, and its past. Lantern light bends around the edges of the courtyard, revealing faded inscriptions on walls and door frames. Messages carved by citizens of long ago, notes of triumph, petitions for justice, whispers of regret, each an echo of lives lived in the shadow of celebration and consequence. Daniel feels the coziest warmth in the recognition of these hidden histories, a magical sense of connection to those who came before. The peaceful understanding that acknowledging the past allows both spirits and the living to coexist in harmony. The children float past him again, lanterns glowing softly, while adults follow in a solemn, almost ritualistic procession. And the music of drums and brass weaves together, past and present, joy and sorrow, creating a relaxing, magical atmosphere that guides the mind toward calm. Reflection. Daniel writes quickly in his journal, recording every subtle gesture, every shadow, every whisper, knowing that these observations will become part of a bedtime story, a sleep story, and a guided sleep meditation designed to soothe the mind and heart, even as it conveys the weight of history and the hidden stories that linger in Eldon Hollow as he continues toward the alley that leads back to the town square. Daniel encounters spirits who linger near the old bakery, their expressions both peaceful and pained, revealing the small tragedies that occurred behind closed doors during the parade, lost livelihoods, broken friendships, and quiet moments of regret. He senses that these are not threats, but gentle reminders of the consequences of actions left unexamined, of choices unspoken, of histories that demand acknowledgement. The wind carries a mixture of music, laughter, and whispered confessions, weaving a tapestry of sound that is magical, calming, and coziest. A rhythmic lull that guides both Daniel and any listener deeper into serenity. Lanterns swayed gently, casting elongated shadows over cobblestones, walls, and ivy, while spectral figures paused to touch banners, trace carvings, and exchange gestures filled with meaning. Daniel feels the peaceful, coziest connection between past and present, the magic of witnessing unspoken truths, the calming recognition that these echoes of the parade serve both as reflection and as meditation. And now, dear listener, allow yourself to float gently alongside him, absorbing every whisper, every shimmer of light, every echo of music and emotion, and let it guide you into the most magical, coziest, and deeply relaxing sleep, where history, memory, and the unseen coexist in perfect harmony. Asterisk. This is Evelyn Blackwood, inviting you once more to step quietly into where the forgotten parade lingers in the mist, where lanterns glow like tiny beacons of memory, and where every shadow whispers a story, some joyful, some sorrowful, and some heavy with unspoken regret. Take a deep, calming breath in and out. Allow your body to release tension, your mind to soften, and your imagination to drift gently into the magical, coziest, and peaceful rhythm of the town's nocturnal heartbeat. Daniel moves along the narrow path that leads to the edge of the central square, noticing how the fog curls around lanterns, old lampposts, and the edges of buildings, revealing hints of faded signs, cobblestones, damp from the evening air, and subtle carvings in wood and stone that hint at long-forgotten celebrations and misdeeds alike. Ahead of him, he sees remnants of floats once used in the Columbus Day parade, half buried under ivy and moss, wooden frames warped but still faintly glowing with the energy of memory, casting shadows that dance gently on the surrounding walls. Spirits linger among these relics, children holding lanterns, merchants and parade organizers frozen in ethereal gestures, and older figures moving slowly, faces lined with both peace and sorrow, as if the weight of their choices and regrets is held lightly in the air around them. Daniel steps carefully toward an abandoned float, noticing the details of its faded banners, each one telling stories of triumph, rivalry, and loss, revealing secrets of families torn apart, friendships strained, and decisions that shaped Eldon Hollow in subtle, unseen ways. He kneels beside a small, weathered bench where a family once watched the parade, seeing faint silhouettes of parents and children frozen in gestures of joy and anxiety, their faces reflecting moments of pride and quiet shame. The lanterns flicker in response to the spirit's movements, casting warm, calming glows that highlight inscriptions carved into the cobblestones, notes of apology, love, and unspoken truth. Daniel feels a coziest warmth in recognizing that these spirits are not here to frighten him but to invite reflection, to allow both the living and those lingering between worlds to acknowledge past mistakes, unresolved grief, and the subtle consequences of human action. The wind carries soft echoes of drums, brass, and whispered laughter, blending with the subtle creak of wooden floats and the faint rustle of autumn leaves, creating a magical, calming symphony that seems to guide Daniel, and by extension the listener, deeper into meditation and gentle reflection. He observes a young boy's spirit tugging gently at a ribbon that once adorned a float, his movements deliberate yet sorrowful, a symbol of connection to a past that was never fully reconciled, and a quiet reminder of the stories that remain unfinished in Eldon Hollow. Nearby, an older spirit approaches, eyes filled with the weight of choices and regrets, nodding toward Daniel as if acknowledging his presence and the recognition he brings to these unseen histories. Daniel writes fervently in his journal, capturing not only the images but the emotions, the peaceful yet somber energy of spirits seeking remembrance, the magical aura surrounding relics of celebration, and the coziest sense of connection between past, present, and the enduring lessons hidden within history. The alleyway opens to a small courtyard where the largest floats are gathered, their wooden structures warped by time, their decorations faded yet alive in spectral light, shimmering with energy from countless memories, both joyous and tragic. Spirits move among them gracefully, pausing to touch a banner, trace a carved message, or exchange silent gestures of reconciliation and understanding. Each moment infused with the calming rhythm of the night and the soft, magical glow of lanterns. Daniel feels his heartbeat slow, tension ease, and mind settle into peaceful awareness, a guided sleep meditation in motion, allowing the coziest sense of calm to envelop him as he witnesses the interaction between spirites and the relics of human history. And now, dear listener, allow yourself to float gently beside him through the past glowing lanterns and forgotten floats, guided by whispers, laughter, and soft echoes of music, drifting into a deeply relaxing, magical sleep where history, memory, and the presence of these unresolved spirits combine to soothe your mind, calm your heart, and fill you with a sense of the coziest, most peaceful reflection imaginable. Asterisk, This is Evelyn Blackwood, welcoming you once again into the quiet, mist-filled streets of Eldon Hollow, where the forgotten parade drifts slowly through memory and shadow, and where the spirits of celebration and regret intertwine to create an atmosphere both magical and soothing. Take a deep, gentle breath in and out. Feel your body sinking further into comfort, your mind softening, your senses opening to the cozy, calming energy that hums through the night. Daniel walks along the edge of the central square, noticing how the fog thickens near the oldest buildings, wrapping them in soft halos of lantern light, and how the shadows cast by the parade floats stretch and bend like living things, swaying gently as if alive. The air is scented faintly with autumn leaves, damp stone, and a hint of candle wax from altars left long ago, mingling into a magical aroma that encourages reflection, relaxation, and subtle awareness. Tonight, the spirits are more active, moving with purpose, their translucent forms gliding past Daniel with gestures that suggest unfinished business, secrets waiting to be acknowledged, and histories that demand remembrance. Children spirits run lightly past, lanterns held high, their laughter echoing softly, while adults in faded parade uniforms drift gracefully, eyes cast downward as though carrying the weight of unspoken truths. Daniel steps carefully along the cobblestones, pausing beneath an archway where the shadows of old banners twist and flicker in the lantern light. He senses a shift in the atmosphere. The forgotten parade is no longer merely a reflection of celebration. It is revealing the hidden tensions, regrets, and choices that shaped the town and its people. A gentle but undeniable lesson in history's quiet power over the present. He notices a spectral musician, a trumpet in hand, pausing to play a single, slow note that resonates through the mist like a heartbeat, vibrating in harmony with the soft footsteps and whispers of the other spirits. Each sound, each movement, each flicker of light carries with it memory and emotion, the coziest warmth of family moments, the peaceful sadness of lost opportunities, the magical reminder that acknowledging the past brings calm and clarity to the present. Daniel walks toward a partially collapsed float at the edge of the square, its structure warped but still glowing faintly with the energy of remembrance, and he observes figures interacting with it, a mother smoothing the edge of a banner, a child tracing carvings that tell stories of ambition, loss, and reconciliation. The wind moves through the alleyways, carrying faint echoes of music, laughter, and whispered apologies, weaving together a natural guided sleep meditation that invites the mind to settle and the heart to feel deeply yet peacefully. Daniel writes in his journal, capturing the rhythm of the night, the subtle interactions of the spirits, and the delicate interplay between history, memory, and the lingering consequences of human choices. Lanterns sway overhead, casting elongated shadows across the cobblestones and walls, revealing details of carvings, inscriptions, and faded messages that speak to forgotten victories, unspoken regrets, and the quiet perseverance of those who walked before. The children float past him again, gentle smiles on their ethereal faces, while adults pause in mid-motion, acknowledging Daniel and the presence of a living witness to their stories. The courtyard opens into a small park where the largest parade floats were displayed, now surrounded by spectral families. musicians and organizers, all moving slowly, deliberately, creating a choreography of reflection, remembrance, and peace. Daniel feels a coziest calm settle over him, a magical, calming energy enveloping both body and mind. The gentle rhythm of the sleep story and guided sleep meditation guiding him and the listener toward deeper serenity. He notices a small boy reaching toward a lantern that drifts slightly above him. A subtle lesson of yearning, hope, and gentle persistence, while an older spirit watches over him. A reminder of mentorship, protection, and the quiet power of guidance across time. The lantern's glow blends with the mist. The music fades into soft echoes, and the parade slowly drifts toward the edges of memory, leaving behind a peaceful, magical, coziest sense of closure and calm. And now, dear listener, allow yourself to float alongside Daniel through the mist, past glowing lanterns and spectral figures, absorbing every whisper and gentle echo of the forgotten parade, letting the magical, calming, and peaceful energy carry you into the deepest, coziest sleep imaginable, where history, memory, and the unseen intertwine to soothe your mind, heart, and soul. This is Evelyn Blackwood, welcoming you gently back into the quiet, mist-rooted streets of Eldon Hollow, where the forgotten parade lingers in soft echoes, and where the coziest, most magical energy of history, memory, and spectral presence envelops the town in a calming embrace. Take a deep, slow breath in and out. Allow your body to sink fully into comfort, your mind to release the day's worries, and your senses to attune to the peaceful rhythm that flows through the lantern-lit streets. Cobblestones slick with evening dew and the faint fog curling around aged facades. Daniel walks slowly through the central square, the air thick with the subtle scent of autumn leaves, damp earth, and traces of candle smoke from altars and lanterns left for remembrance. The parade's largest floats, warped and faded by time, rise faintly from the mist, glowing with a magical, calming light, each structure pulsing gently with the memories of those who once celebrated, competed, or bore regrets within Eldon Hollow. Children's spirits float past him, lanterns swaying softly, while adults glide silently, expressions gentle yet tinged with the lessons of choices made long ago. Daniel senses the air vibrating with subtle energy, whispers of laughter, echoes of music, and quiet sighs of reconciliation, each sound weaving together into a rhythm that is at once magical, calming, and deeply coziest. He approaches the old courthouse, where the largest parade disputes and unspoken histories once unfolded. Shadows of judges, merchants, and townsfolk drift through the windows, frozen in gestures of deliberation, apology, and occasional triumph, reflecting the complex layers of human experience that the parade itself both celebrated and concealed. Lantern light bends around Daniel as he moves toward the park, illuminating faint inscriptions carved into walls, benches, and stones, messages that speak of pride, regret, forgiveness, and unresolved longing. Here, the spirits pause in deliberate choreography, circling the remnants of the floats, touching ribbons, banners, and instruments, their actions gentle, almost ritualistic, as if performing a ceremony of memory and acknowledgement that bridges the living and the spectral. Daniel kneels beside a frozen fountain, observing a mother guiding her child's spirit to place a lantern upon a float, a gesture both tender and instructive, symbolizing the acknowledgement of past mistakes and the coziest form of reconciliation. The wind carries subtle echoes of music, the soft clatter of brass and distant laughter, blending with the rustle of leaves to create a natural guided sleep meditation, soothing the body and mind, while keeping the listener attuned to the magical yet peaceful energy of the town. Daniel notices oldest Pierce gliding past him, nodding gently in recognition, as if aware of the living witness among them, and he senses the stories they carry. Quiet grief, unspoken pride, gentle regrets, and long-awaited forgiveness. Every gesture, every flicker of lantern light, every whispered echo resonates with history, offering a magical, calming reflection on the passage of time and the enduring presence of memory. Daniel writes diligently, capturing the coziest sense of calm that arises from observing the parade's final echoes, the interplay of shadow and light, the lingering music, the gentle flow of spirits past, and the magical awareness that these moments of observation and recognition serve to soothe both heart and mind. The parade drifts slowly toward the edges of the square, children and adults alike moving in patterns of remembrance and reconciliation. The largest floats glowing softly, banners rippling in invisible wind. And Daniel feels a deep sense of peace, connection, and serenity that permeates his being. And now, dear listener, allow yourself to follow him through the mist, past glowing lanterns and spectral figures, absorbing every whisper, every shimmer, every subtle echo of the forgotten parade. Let the magical, coziest energy carry you gently into the deepest, most relaxing sleep imaginable, where history, memory, and spirit converge in perfect harmony, and where the lessons of Columbus Day and Eldon Hollow echo quietly within your mind and heart. As the story fades, breathing calm, exhale tension, and drift fully into the peaceful, coziest, and magical sleep offered by the whispers, lanterns, and gentle presence of the forgotten parade, knowing that these echoes of history and memory will carry you safely through the night.